upon a time, there was a ship, and on that ship was a man named Robinson Crusoe. One day, the ship hit an extremely large iceberg. The ship began to sink. Crusoe quickly went and grabbed a couple of biscuits, a dog, and 2 cats, and fled the ship before it sank. He saw an island in the distance, and he, the dog, and the 2 cats swam to it. He finally got to the island, and he looked around and saw that the island was deserted. He saw a cave, and he went to go to sleep.
I'm going to sleep in this cave.
He slept for 30 years. 30 years later, he came out of the cave. It seems he was incapable of growing hair on his chin, so he only grew a sweet stash. His clothes became like rags, so he decided he would kill an animal and use its skin for clothes. He skins the animal, and he used it for breeches. Soon after that, the sun was unbearably hot, so he decided to make a cap. After he made his cap, he decided to take a stroll into the forest, and that's where he found a bird. He decided to keep this bird, and he named it Paul.
We'll call you Paul.
Paul was a great listener. He would tell Paul about his secrets.
That's why no one makes me sad.
After he found Paul, he was really tired, so he went to his cave to take a nap. He realized his cave was a mess, and he can't sleep with a messy cave, so he took out his vacuum and began vacuuming. His vacuum blew up. After that, he went to bed. It began to thunderstorm, and that storm woke him up. And this storm inspired him to build a boat. He began to build the boat. But first, I have to get this out of the way. He began to build the boat. He finally finished the boat, took it out to sea, and he was determined to ride that bad boy to get off the island. He was out for 3 days, and the wind blew him back to the island. He was upset.
I'm upset.
A couple of days later, he had a heart attack and died.
Yay! There once was a story called Robinson Crusoe, written by a man named Daniel Defoe. It was pretty boring and sort of lame, so we decided to rewrite it and make it insane. He was on a ship, but then it crashed. His spirits were broken and his items were smashed. He landed on an island, but no one was there, so he started to cry and pull out his hair. The sun was hot and the sand like grit, so he gathered his strength and regained his wit. His spirits were restored, his strength renewed, so he found some supplies and built a canoe. His clothing became torn and quite tattered, so he decided to make new ones because that stuff mattered. The sun was scorching and the sand like grit, his pain it did mock, so he built an umbrella that in the sun it did block. He found some animals and made them his pets. Then he thought, this must be as good as it gets. So he gathered his friends and loaded his boat and then went to the water, and round the island he did float. Then the wind began to blow, and filled his sails, so he prayed and thanked God for the providential gales. The winds and waves carried him away from the island he had roamed, and finally took him back to the place he called home.
Good job. Go for it.
We,
Love,
you, Mrs.
Barbara,
Richie,
Pond.
we,
hope,
you, Phil,
better,
come
Back.
soon.